Hello, everyone. This is a special episode that is part of the Founder Series, an original podcast series by Behind the Human. And I'm your host, as you know, Mark Champagne, and it's in collaboration with Wisdom Ventures. And it's a series exploring the mental fitness practices, rituals, and sources of wisdom fueling founders who are scaling compassion and wellness. Because when minds thrive, so do innovations, teams, and businesses. We all win. Today, we've got Marie Sierra from Oh Yay. And I can't wait because having been in the app space myself, those of you know my backstory, I'm always I guess I could say impress and admire anyone that takes on the digital wellness world and produces products to help other people, because I know it's not easy to put something out that's really good and high quality, and given there's so much out there to compete and I don't want to say compete, because I think there's more than enough more than enough help to go around, I guess you can say. But nonetheless, what I would say is just it's an honor, Marie, to that you're on the show and talking within the series and the work that you do. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mark, for inviting me to share more about this journey. I really resonate with the scaling compassion mission that you have, and I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey in, this work that you're doing? Like, where did it all start? I mean, there's the app and the platform that we're going to talk about, but where did it all start for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm originally from Mexico City. Did my master's in San Francisco, California. So I lived there for 5 years studying design, and I worked in the tech space. But I also intentionally moved to San Francisco because at the time I was already a yoga teacher, passionate about meditation and embodiment practices. And I knew that San Francisco was like a mecca of consciousness practices, and at the same time, technology and design and innovation. So I always wanted to find a sweet spot for myself to like innovate and at the same time deepen my practice and scale the work of helping other people embody and be more true to their healing journeys through practices, through embodiment, through the mind-body connection. And I myself have suffered the use of technology. Like, I grew up without a cell phone, and then in the years later, we had to become really savvy and even create products for others. And so I always had this very clear intention of wanting to design better products, more human products. Technology products that would take into account our body, our posture, our emotions. And so navigating the San Francisco crowd, of course, I met the Wisdom 2.0 folks a while back, and many other communities that are really, I think, pushing the boundaries of what good design means. That takes into account wisdom traditions and embodiment practices. And so I left San Francisco, I came back to Mexico, and I had been a little disconnected from the tech world, focusing much more in my practice as a healer and as a craniosacral therapist and a dancer and a mover. But during the pandemic, I again got this like stroke of insight of saying, I cannot just leave my technology background in the back. And I need to...
What were you hearing? Like, what was coming up? What was that? What were those whispers for you?
Those whispers. That's a great question. Well, I was myself feeling very anxious and disconnected from the actual juice of what technology products could give me. I was just scrolling for information or consuming passively instead of feeling that I was actively creating something that was helping others. And I was feeling also conversations around me of people feeling very anxious and just with mental health issues coming up and a lot of isolation and solitude. And so that's when Oye comes into the picture. So I kept in touch with with several friends and colleagues, and a friend invited me for a conversation because they were intending to create a mental health app for Latin American youth. Because there was this really big trend of, suicide attempts and anxiety and depression, younger generation in Latin America. And it was just very real, present and real. And so I said, I want to join a team of people that are trying to provide tools and solutions for a generation that maybe wasn't as exposed to embodiment as us, or meditation, or that even see it as something that is foreign to them. And so it's like, okay, how can we then use technology and design and media and fashion and culture to actually bring those practices closer to what the pulse of this generation is looking for?
I love it. I just pulled up the app again because I love the what would you say? Is this like a kind of the graph? You see this in a SWOT analysis normally, like the axes and whatnot. And I love this is how you determine, how you're feeling, like high energy or low energy, open or closed. How did you guys come to those markers?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Well, so that was originally an idea that we came up with from my therapeutic background. That is always how I open the conversation. When someone comes into the room, it's like, how are you feeling today? Like,
actually asking that
that question with a tone of presence and attention. Maybe just asking that question has gotten people into tears. Just how are you arriving today? How is your body feeling right now? And we thought, okay, how do we translate that candor into a digital app that can help people inquire into really how they are feeling right now? So it's 2 basic questions and a quadrant. Do you have high energy or low energy? Are you feeling closed or open to life right now? And those basic questions give us like a map to navigate what emotions are present in our life, in our body. And so whether you choose left or right, up or down, you locate yourself in the quadrant, and then we throw out a series of emotions that are associated with that high intensity energy or low intensity energy, or openness or closed. And there's a lot of somatics behind that logic of categorizing emotions by high intensity, low intensity, open or closed, if you think about it. So there's like fear, for example, is a contracted feeling, or anger is a very high energy feeling. So someone that has a relationship with their bodies and their emotions can intuitively figure this out, but someone that doesn't and is just feeling intense emotion might find this quadrant a good map to navigate their interior.
Well, yeah, like I find it's just a simple method that, because depending on how someone's feeling, it could be triggering, in a way, to ask those questions. But I feel like you've invited people in just a real simple, I guess inviting way. And then I love how you get your core emotion. I just did it right now, and freedom came up, which I was happy to see. And I also love that it seems like I've only done this a few times, but then you get a beautiful quote from someone that's been on this show a couple times, Diego Perez, which I'm sure that's intentional. Is it? I mean, he's got so many beautiful lines that probably have
this was just
eternity of content.
Yeah, this was just a way to connect, I guess, the wisdom of young Pueblo, which is, this very inspiring author for a lot of us, and just give a prompt for reflection after you notice what emotion is present. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
if you feel you want to engage further, then we recommend content that helps you connect with that emotion and work through it.
Sure. I'm curious, just since you are working and definitely have worked in kind of, I would say, almost like both worlds, right? There's the technology world and fast-paced, entrepreneurial, especially tech. I mean, having spent some time, I didn't live in San Francisco, but having spent time, in San Francisco when I was running our app as well, there's just there's a high energy, let's just say. And then you bring in, well-being or mindfulness and a lot of these different practices that are kind of the opposite of slowing down and, capturing the magic in the stillness of our mind and processing, reflecting and stuff like that. How have you bridged, I guess, the messaging? Like, how do you speak to other founders and business leaders to get them to listen or pull them off autopilot, essentially?
Gosh, that's a great question. I'll share with you. I think really there was something that shifted after the pandemic where a lot of
Yeah.
leaders noticed that they couldn't continue with the status quo and the same rhythm of such an accelerated pace because their employees were suffering, their families
Yeah.
were suffering, and it's real. So, for example, I'll share an example today. We are piloting B2B business model, and we are talking with, a not even known company in Colombia that is a call center and
Okay.
has 5,000 people receiving phones and giving phone calls. And they did a study of the levels of anxiety in their employees, and it was like 90%. Like everyone is like really, really suffering. And they were like asking for something that they could give their employees. The HR head, the CEO, they were like, give us tools. Like, we need to help our people manage their emotions, regulate their nervous systems. Like, it's a difficult job to be, calling people and everyone hangs up on you and just dealing with that pressure in the workplace. And so the leaders are noticing that they need to offer these breathing spaces and this,
Mhm.
I guess, warmer tools than just exploiting their employees for more profit or results. So it's very exciting to see that the companies are coming up to us and looking for tools and solutions that can really help people transition from a high anxious state to a more self-regulating state. But that said, you're right. We were still struggling with the fast pace rhythm of meeting the results that investors are asking from us and working tons of hours, like
Yeah.
beyond what is, I guess, humanly acceptable. And we've had to reevaluate and take some pauses and like try, because we're such a young company, not even 2 years. And part of the
Yeah.
work that I've been doing is to also create a wellness culture internally and have certain guidelines on, okay, if we do travel, then we need 2 days of rest after intense production for travel. Or like, don't take red eye flights because that's so tolling on the nervous system. Like, simple
Yeah.
measures that can help us really put our well-being in the front, not just the results of the company.
Sure. Oh, I have to keep pulling on that thread. Is there like what other conversations have you had as a founding team around just, I guess, setting the example of how you want the culture? Because as you're growing, there's more people that will come into the team as well, and it's one of those things like if they see this being done, like I love the idea of when there's travel and definitely when there's intense product sprints or meetings and whatnot to schedule in that rest and
Uh-huh.
recovery.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when we take it out of the context of business and startups and whatnot and put it in the context of elite athletes, I mean, that's normal, right? And it's not much different though in terms of the level of energy that is being put into something. It's just maybe it may not be, basketball or hockey or soccer or something, but it's, if not as intense, if not more sometimes, when it comes to creating products and services and whatnot. But for whatever reason, we don't think about that, or often the rest and recovery is neglected, and it's like we're running these 12-hour high intensity workouts for our minds nonstop. Something's got to give.
That same conversation was brought up. Like, intense sprints need to be like paired with a few days of rest. And so we were exploring with the notion of not having meetings on Monday.
Okay.
So just have a day where, because Mondays are always hectic, like everyone wants to get everything done on Monday, have all the meetings on Monday. And we said, let's turn that logic the other way around. Like, no meetings on Monday. You focus on what because our strategic meetings were on Friday. And so we would have the weekend to rest, repair, Mondays to focus, and then on Tuesdays, show up with your best. So we experimented with that a little bit. And also we had on Thursdays, we had Vibras session. So Vibras, which is vibe, like the vibe, it's like we're vibing. Since we kept growing our technology team, whether it was external contractors or internal teams, some of the engineers were not familiar at all with somatic practices or meditation or mindfulness. And so we really wanted to bring that knowledge and create a common practice with the team. So I would guide, a simple 10, 12-minute exercise of moving, breathing, connecting, and like our mental state shifted, even if it was guided on Zoom. Like there's a very, very real effect when you come together to do movement, to breathe together, and to offer these like practices that are very simple, but that, someone that has not been familiar with the effects of doing work with the mind and the body, it was really, really beautiful to start creating a culture from the embodiment place.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I have to ask, and this is a bit of a selfish question on because some of the work that I do with teams, because I'm sure you come up against this. Once someone experiences the practices that you're describing, in my case, often it's even a few minutes of guided breath work or some journaling prompts, there's a palpable shift in energy. But to get to that point is where I find it still tricky depending on the audience. I mean, I'm making assumptions here, but I'm assuming, given the engineering team is working on your app and your product, there's some buy-in there, of course, on the practices. But if you think of other founders and whatnot and teams that are maybe outside of our space, it's not as well. It's hard to communicate what they're going to feel. I'm curious if you found any solutions to this around messaging or the conversation, or like how you navigate this with other teams, or whether that's through your work with your current company or just as a healer in general.
Yeah, great question. I mean, I definitely found some resistance from people that they were clearly uncomfortable, of like putting their, and they're like dancing. But, I try to bring a little humor into this. And I think I stand on my role as a facilitator without feeling that I need to, like have everyone like me. Like I'm very,
I like that.
I'm very direct. And I'm like, please put your video. Like, we need to see you. Put your shame away. It's going to be just 8 minutes. Like, we are all going to grow from this. I'm very direct. I love bringing the best out of people with my directive, assertive voice. And although it could feel like, oh, wow, you're putting them on the spot, but it's actually for the benefit of all of us later on.
Yeah. But you have a very calm energy. I mean, unless there's a whole other side of you that I'm not picking up on you. I mean, I can't even imagine what direct looks like from Marie.
It's exactly how I'm just saying it right now. Like, I'm like, please put your video on. Like, we're all going to benefit from this. I can give you adjustments if I can see your body. So, because some people, they would never even put their video on. I'm like, I need to see you. I need to feel you. Like, let me guide you. And if I can see you, I can be more precise with my instructions. And then we did have a few outings where we were together in physical presence. And that, I could say, that really was helpful because, I mean, I can tell all of the engineers came and talked to me, and they were like, oh my goodness, like, I feel my body is like less stressed. I don't have tension in my neck. Like, I've never felt so free and expanded, like, with just simple practices. So it was really, I think, just dropping those seeds that then later grow in their own embodied awareness. It's always better in person. In digital, we do our best, but you can combine physical presence with digital. I think that grows more.
Sure. And what are some of these simple practices that you're teaching and putting the team through and facilitating?
Yeah, well, so I have a background in movement, many different types of movement, from dance to yoga to Qi-gong and energy cultivation. And also, I'm a trained somatic coach. So I bring awareness to the narratives that live in our body posture. And so really bringing awareness to how our body posture is showing how we are feeling internally, and guiding people through the exploration of, shoulders, spine movement, chin, hands, basic somatic exercises that help you notice how you're feeling. And then energy cultivation with Qi-gong is just, it's an ancestral wisdom tradition that has a very palpable effect when you do some visualizations and movement and breathing that really enhance your vitality and give you a sense of wholeness. So combining...
Can you explain a bit of that, Marie? I mean, I'm like high level aware of Qigong, but I that's it. So like what could I or we expect if we go a little deeper in that practice?
Well, using the technology metaphor, like how you charge your phone, you plug into the electricity, right? Like you plug into the electric charge. So you would say, how do you charge your energy as a body, as a human body? And you could say, okay, you eat food, but that's only one way to charge your energy, to recharge. In Qigong, we recharge with the cosmic forces. And the cosmic forces might sound very ethereal, but it's very basic. It's the electromagnetic field of the earth and the cosmic field of, the space above us. So if you think about it, our bodies are like antennas that are connected with the earth and space. So we live in a planet that's floating in space. So there's a real cosmic energy above our heads, and there's a real electromagnetic field of the earth. And so with Qigong, you circulate that awareness of the stable, warm energy of the earth and the clear, soothing energy of the stars or the cosmos. And
just listening to it feels refreshing.
Exactly. It's very refreshing. And it's very good for the nervous system. Like, I just love doing it. Just it's a basic practice that I'm sure you've heard, grounding, earthing. Take out your shoes and go and connect with the grass. It's as simple as that. But you bring in a little bit more awareness of visualization. So a simple exercise, just to be more concrete, we would call this the micro-orbit circulation. So you inhale. Ooh. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I won't stand up. You inhale and you bring your arms up. And you visualize that the energy is coming from your feet all the way up to your to your sacrum, all the way up through your vertebrae, all the way up to your head. And then as you exhale, you bring your hands down and you feel the energy going down from your forehead to your chin, to your chest, down to your perineum. And that way you're circulating from the back of the body to the frontal body, back body, frontal body. And you're bringing earth energy up, cosmic energy down. And that's it. And you just basically open your channels of awareness of your feet and all of your vertebrae and your forehead and your head. And you start feeling how you're like washing or cleansing your dense energy with the help of the cosmic forces.
Yeah. It's like an energetic bath.
It's an energetic bath. Exactly. Actually, we call it the light bath.
Okay, I like it.
Baños de luz in Spanish. The light bath. And the micro-orbit is just really, you could see that this is in connection with Taoist practices or Chinese medicine, where you have the meridians that are circulating inside the body. So you just visualize those meridians being filled with light. And it's so soothing for the nervous system.
Yeah. So for you personally, how do you use these practices in relation to, like tough business situations, or like you said, the company's a couple of years old. I mean, you have a certain, just being part of this show, there's some funding there. So that's one big step, obviously, but there's a whole, journey, obviously, in the startup world. How have you intentionally injected some of these practices just so, you can help this company thrive through your own work, not just, what you're facilitating with the team, but for you personally?
Great question. So as I was mentioning, the Vibras session that we would have on Thursdays, it would start with 3 micro-orbit circulations, as we just did today. Like inhaling, exhaling, the earth energy and the cosmic energy. And at the beginning, there was like, okay, why are you talking about cosmic energy? Like this is awkward for some people, but then they would feel it. They would feel it, and you could see it in their mental in the relaxation in their eyes, less tension in the jaw, like vitality in their expression. So I think there's like a learning curve at the beginning that you need to overpass that resistance of being unfamiliar with these concepts. But then later on, it gets instilled in the culture, and people would come up to me and say, like, how can I find more about this? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
I was feeling tingling. I was feeling energized. So I always come back to the truth of like, we all have bodies. We all inhabit a body, and everybody's body wants to be in health and move and have more sense of spaciousness instead of contraction. So these are 2 words we use a lot: contract and expand. And I think stress, anxiety, fear are all contractions. So we use this movement of expansion, contraction with breath, with movement. And it's a very simple term without using any terminology of cosmic or Eastern traditions or New Age stuff. Like very physical. Are you contracted or are you expanded? Are you awake?
It's like we have to trick people at first a little bit, right? Don't use the real words. Just kind of get them in until they feel it, to your point, and then all of a sudden it's all game is on. It's all good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. So contract and expand.
No, that I think that really resonated with people because they could feel themselves when they're stressed, and they could feel their contraction. It almost feels like you're like pointing exactly at the pain. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm contracted. I'm not showing up in the best way. Like, I'm micromanaging you, or I'm like,
Sure.
just being erratic and impulsive. And so once these words are out in the common conversation, I think we can all like look at each other and it's like, I sense you're contracted. Like, why don't we take a few breaths and go more towards expanded, available space of listening.
Okay. What do your mornings and evenings look like? Do you have any, consistent rituals or routines that definitely help your mind, but also, of course, your spirit and body, and it's all connected, your energy and so forth?
Yes. I thrive on rituals, and I've spent years like experimenting with different ones, but I would say consistently waking up and drinking my hot water with lemon and a pinch of salt, and hydrating at the same time, looking at the sun, just getting some sunlight, and doing some of the circulation movements, Qi-gong, particularly moving my spine, my hips, and expanding my rib cage to get more oxygen. So that was, for many years, it was yoga. I think now I'm more into Qigong and this energetic subtlety. And then just whether it is like doing some workout or actually doing a meditation, like it depends on my level of energy. Sometimes I need more stillness in the morning. Sometimes I need more like going out for a walk, or doing some cycling, like activating.
Sure.
And I think I love practicing Qigong, like a proper 1 hour sequence later in the evening as the sun is settling before dinner. Like, I think I've found that that's my best hour, like around 6. And
what does that give you?
It gives me serenity, like calm, and like it almost feels, as we were saying, another type of shower. Like I shower in the morning, but this is an energetic shower, and it's a moment where I can like disconnect from the day, really cleanse my mind and my thoughts, and just go into the feeling space.
Yeah.
And that way,
well, it seems like a nice bookend for the day.
Exactly. That way I disconnect from screens later on, and I'm not on the mental like track, no, because you don't rest really well if you don't like calm your thoughts. So doing embodiment
for sure
helps me kind of wind down from the intensity of the day.
Love it. Are there any questions that, as founders, we're not asking that we should be asking for our health and minds right now that that just intuitively come to mind?
Bro, I mean, great question. I guess there's all these conversations around artificial intelligence and how that's going to replace our humanity or whatever, or it's put in question. And it's clear that it's unstoppable. There's a huge accelerated advancement of these technologies permeating all of our lives. And I'm about to become a mother. So I'm really thinking about
Congratulations.
Thank you. How am I going to educate my kid in the use of technology? And I think the question would be, how do we as founders continue to celebrate and inquire into our humanity? Like, there's so much richness in what makes us human. Conversations, touch, our energies, our relatedness, our emotions, like all this intangible richness that is what makes us complex human beings. Like,
Yeah.
I want to continue always exploring and celebrating it. And so, are the products that we are designing dumbing that down, like making it homogeneous, or are we
Mhm.
celebrating diversity and more inquiry and more connectedness?
Yeah. That's a beautiful question. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna put a bookmark on that and journal on that question first thing tomorrow morning. That's a really, really powerful prompt.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you.
Last question for you. Just, as we sit here today, what's making you smile these days?
Well, this thing about becoming a mother, I'll be a, I'll, the birth will be in a month. So it's really,
Oh, wow.
I'm in my 8th month, and it's such a joyous moment of, like, just stating the miracle of life inside,
Yeah.
and um, working still in Oye, and, like, designing my transition as I go out and take some time off. It's
Yeah.
making me smile that we've created a beautiful product that I'm proud of. So it almost feels like it's a second child, right? Like, I'm birthing my
Yeah.
real human child, but also I've helped birth a product that I'm proud of in the world. And just the aesthetics, the rhythm of the practices, the content, like,
Mhm.
I am happy. It feels like a culmination of many years of research and combining multidisciplinary thinking and collaborations. And so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about
Yeah, as you should be. I mean, I for one am grateful and thankful and excited that there's someone like yourself, and I know there's a whole team, of course, but that's behind a beautiful use of technology in what you're all building, and you can feel. I mean, you can definitely feel the design elements in the experience as you walk through the app, and yeah, I'm excited to see more of this, of course, in different aspects, in different categories. But it's exciting to see that there's people devoting a lot of energy and almost, I'd say like their life's work in a way to providing access to these practices and connecting with themselves and others and so forth. So thank you.
Mm. Thank you, Mark,
Yeah.
for resonating so much. Your questions have been really beautiful, helping me integrate also what we've created, and help. Thank you for like giving us this space to talk more about what's behind creating such products. Like, there's, as you say, a lot of intentionality and a lot of thoughtfulness behind it. So I hope your audience and the people that come to your program are inspired in what we've created, and yeah, we're always open to connecting with other founders and other people that are interested in the same mission, and just share knowledge,
Yeah.
share experiences.
And where can people find more about Oye?
Well, so our website is www.oye.co. And then our social channels, it's oye.wellness. And Oye
Okay.
is OYE for those of you who don't know. And you can connect with us on Instagram or our website. And we are currently in our website offering a 21-day challenge to go
Okay.
move from fear to trust.
Ooh,
And
who doesn't want that?
yeah, so you enroll. It's a free, and our app is free until December. So you can just download it on the Android or Apple platforms, and it's in English and in Spanish. So you can enroll in the challenge, or you can just download the app, and you'll get recommendations of practices that help you move through those emotions.
Incredible.
Mm.
Well, thank you again for your time. And, I just want to say that many human that's about to come to this physical planet is one lucky person to have you as their mom. So
Um,
I wish you all the best in that delivery and all the exciting journey to come.
Thank you so much, Mark.